Hari Om, good evening, a very warm welcome to all of you. Please come. Let's seek blessings from the Almighty and then move ahead. Sato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutam gamaya. Sahana vavatu sahano bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. O Lord the Almighty, who also has the divine names Padmanabha, Arvindaksha, to such a glorious Lord, together we offer our humble salutations with Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya and Prapatti, to seek your grace, your love, your blessings, your mercy, your strength, your forgiveness. O Lord, intensify the divine qualities in us, Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya, Prapatti, Mumukshutva, only and only to understand thy true nature, to have the first-hand experience of thy nature right within us, aparokshanubhuti. And we beseech in you that at the end of our lives, we reach thy holy feet. Our humble salutations to the Guru Parampara. Om Tat Sat. With the divine blessings of the Almighty and the Guru Parampara, today we are on our divine discourse number 340 on the 11th of July 2023. Shobhana Kritnama Samvatsara Uttarayana Grishma Rutu Ashadha Masa Krishna Paksha Navami Ashwini Nakshatra Sukarma Yoge Taitula Karune. On this auspicious day of Tuesday and the auspicious time of the evening, we all take a oath, a firm resolve in our minds that, O Lord, Naham Karta Hari Karta Hari Preranaya Hari Prityartham. I firmly believe that everything that is happening in my life, be it an incident, a circumstance, an occasion, through a person, place, or an object, is only and only at your behest. Everything that comes to me is as per your game plan. I'm fully convinced and I fully abide by it. I will accept everything as your prasada. I know that all that is coming in my life is only and only to pull me out of this ocean of births and deaths. I will face every situation with calmness, peace, dexterity, and enhanced Shraddha. Once again, our humble salutations to the Guru Parampara. Om Tat Sat. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. So now we are almost coming to the fag end of chapter 4. Lord Krishna here does emphasize, although now he's concluding, but he also emphasizes what should one's outlook be towards this knowledge. Now in the previous shlokas, let's just take 2 shlokas for a recap. He explained in verse 36 how knowledge destroys sin, was told with an illustration. He said that Yathai dhamsi samiddogni Bhasmasat kurute Arjuna Jnanagni sarva karmani Bhasmasat kurute tatha. So, just like firewood is burned to ashes by a raging fire. See, that raging is very important. A small fire will really not do anything much. So in the same way, this fire of knowledge reduces all your karmic account to ashes. Not only what you're doing now, all the past sins which one has gathered in life. Not only this life, but innumerable lives. Lord Krishna says, all this will be burnt at one go. Such a dazzling statement he makes with conviction. And then in verse 39 he says, Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitramiha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha kalenatmani vindati. He says, there is nothing in this world so purifying as this divine knowledge. You're looking at peace, you're looking at contentment, you're looking at being in bliss. This gains the highest score in this world. Not known to many. So this knowledge has that kind of a power. And what happens once a person gets this knowledge? Then over a period of time, through yoga, he says, yoga samsiddhaha, meaning yoga is union. With the union of this knowledge, this sadhak, yogi, he slowly realizes that divinity in his own heart as his own experience. There is no doubt. He doesn't have to hear from anybody. He doesn't have to read and understand from anywhere else. It becomes a practical experience for him. Now, after saying that, and now such a knowledge is there, which is so pure and which can give me this kind of contentment and bliss in life. I want it. Who gets such kind of knowledge? So that he explains the criteria, the caliber, what is required to get this knowledge. Let's understand verse 39. We'll read this verse and then understand its meaning. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparam samyatendriyaha jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. So here Lord Krishna says, a man, see, whenever we say man, it means woman also. A man with faith, with the zeal. Now these are the criteria. One is you need shraddha, faith. Then you need zeal and self-control. Three important points he brings forth. Any one which is missing here, the whole thing will collapse. Like, you know, in the villages you have a stove which is kept on 3 stones, a tripod. So 3 stones are there, and on top of it you have a vessel, and below that you have firewood, and you cook food on that. Now any one of the stone you pull it out, the whole thing will fall down. It doesn't work. So faith, zeal and self-control. So he says these three things bring you that knowledge. Now having attained such a knowledge, what happens? The immediate effect which this person who has been in union with this knowledge, what he sees is there is an enormous amount of peace which reigns in his heart. Naturally. See, we also must have experienced when we are on the spiritual path, when we are doing sadhana in terms of meditation, japa, listening swadhyaya listening to discourses. Somewhere, you know, you have not heard anything. No good news has come to you, or nothing that which is to make you happy is heard by you or seen by you or read by you, but you feel that feeling of happiness. Where is it coming from? It is sprouting from within. So bountiful amounts of peace, it reigns in the heart of such a person. Whatever be the external atmosphere, It doesn't matter. But this is coming. See, sometimes everything is so good outside, absolutely as per one's plan. Whatever you wanted in life, it is there outside. But what you see is, you see that there is some kind of an uneasiness in yourself. We all have experienced this. Hey, such nice things are happening outside, and why is it that I'm disturbed? So the reverse of this situation, although these situations outside are disturbing, disastrous, no, you have never dreamt of such things to happen in your life, but you see that your heart within is calm, cool, and at bliss. He says this is the effect of a person who has faith, who has this zeal to achieve, and who has got that self-control. He gets this knowledge first. With these three qualities, he gets this knowledge. And having got this knowledge, his immediate impact will be abundant peace in his life. So let's talk about these qualities now. We need to understand. And understand for what? To know that these three qualities, yes, we have these three qualities, but to what extent do we have? And how much more I need to spike it up? So in that context, let's get an understanding. Shraddhavan, he says. So one who has faith in the teachings, that is in the Shastra, and in the teacher, the Guru. So the Guru and Shastras, you need to have both. Only on the Shastras and not in the Guru, or only in the Guru and not in the Shastras, that is incomplete faith. And here, see, faith does not mean uncritical acceptance of something. You can always criticize, you can always question, but it is the one must start with the feeling that there is something to it. Otherwise, why will you see so many yogis and realized people so much at peace, so much of calmness on their face? They have nothing. How do you see? So that itself should, by logic should say, there is peace is not outside. Happiness is not outside. Happiness has to be within. And for happiness to be within, one need not have things outside us. If that was the case, then as you grow, you become more and more rich, the happiness quotient in you should increase. But that's not the case in this world. There are so many stinking rich people who, to sleep, they have to take sleeping pills. Before a meal, they have to take tablets. After a meal, they have to take tablets. And they have got frequent visits to the doctors to keep themselves moving in life. That is the state of their health. How did this happen? If money was the only reason for they being happy, then why are they unhealthy? So money, status, power, possessions, they do not bring you happiness. This is the biggest lesson which I have learned by spiritual practice. Otherwise, madly rushing after increasing your top line, increasing your bottom line. Top line means in terms of the turnover of a company. Bottom line means these are corporate jargons. Bottom line in a company means increasing the profit of the company. So I was chasing that, but then it was amazingly God's divine intervention in my life. And when I got onto this track, something deeply pulled me back. Just forget about the business. Whatever has to happen will happen. It's not that things you will not be able to survive. You have enough financial freedom. So focus on this. So there I could see, although externally the bottom line and the top line is decreasing, but my happiness quotient was increasing within. So that was how I had faith in my Guru. I had faith in the shastras. Yes, I can see that this person has got something which the world doesn't have. With respect to my Guru, there is enormous amount of bliss in him. What possessions he has? Zero. But he has bliss, which means because of this knowledge, he is practically experiencing. In the same way, when I started doing it, then you start getting that faith. Now, that faith will sustain us. That faith will motivate us and it will inspire us. This way, Shraddhavan, like if I have to give us metaphor, knowledge is, everybody is right. Like we are, as we know, we are all nothing but children of that divine Almighty. And it is, each one has got an equal amount of right to this knowledge. Just like sunlight is the right of every human, because it does not discriminate. I give sunlight only to this person and then to the next door neighbor I don't give sunlight, next building I don't give sunlight. No, equal amount of sunlight in a place. But what if one closes his doors and windows of his house, he draws the curtains and he stays indoors? Will he get sunlight? No. In the same way, this knowledge is available to everyone, but no one has the shraddha or the faith to recognize the value of this knowledge and come out of their house, of their cozy comfort house, and stand under the sun. So once somebody comes out of their comfort zone and starts listening to the Shastra and the Guru, then the knowledge becomes effective only for such a person. And what made this person come out in the open is that fact of Shraddha. Now somebody very dear to me tells me, I make my first step towards going to the Guru. Yes, let me go and talk to him. And when he says something, then I immediately need to have Shraddha in his words. That is the first point of contact. You need to start your journey with Shraddha. I'll tell you a beautiful story to make us understand what Shraddha is. We feel, that everybody has got faith, but we are talking of that true faith, not just faith, that true hardcore faith. There is a saying, we all have heard of the Sri Shaila temple, which is in Andhra Pradesh, one of the Jyotirlinga temples. Sri Shailam Shikaram Drishtva Punarjanmana Vidyate. This is one very old saying in the Shastras. Meaning, if anyone sees the temple tower of Sri Shaila, Punarjanmana Vidyate, he will never be born again, meaning he'll get moksha. This is a saying. Now, once Lord Shiva and Parvati were talking to each other, they were casually discussing, and Ma Parvati, she asks Shiva, what are you saying, Sri Shailam Shikaram Drishtva Punarjanmana Vidyate? You mean to say just by looking at the temple tower, you will get moksha? Which means every day 10,000 people are going to the temple, all the 10,000 people will get moksha. And especially in Kartik Mas, sometimes lakhs and lakhs of people come, more than a lakh on a daily basis. All these people, when they are entering the temple, meaning they'll see the temple tower. Obviously, meaning everybody should get moksha. Lord Shiva says, my dear Parvati, it's not that way. This is the Shastra says this. One needs to have that faith in what is said. And he says, come, I'll demonstrate to you what I'm talking about. And then what he does is, slightly away from the temple, about a kilometer away from the temple, where people are moving up and down towards the temple, on the return journey, the one side is, there is a track which is taking you to the temple. On the other side, there is a track which is taking pilgrims away from the temple. So Lord Shiva says, now let's dress up like ordinary humans. And there is a pit next to the road. He says, we are not young, we'll be looking somewhere in our 50s and 60s. I will be in the pit. Now what you have to do is, you are outside the pit and you are asking for help. Saying that my husband has fallen in this pit. Array, somebody please come and lift my husband from this pit. Save him from this pit. And anybody who comes, what you should tell? That look, my husband has got a curse. A person who comes and tries to pull him out of the pit should not have committed any sin, otherwise he'll immediately get a paralytic stroke. So Parvati says, okay. And Lord Shiva, he, in his poorly dressed state, he has fallen in the pit, mud all over his body, and is shouting, pull me out, pull me out. And here Ma Parvati sitting on the edge of the pit, she is crying. She's asking each and every person who is coming there, Array, please help me, get my husband out of this pit. Then one person comes, a farmer. And he says, what is the big deal? And he tries to give his hand and he says, I'll pull you out and all. Then immediately this lady who is in disguise, Ma Parvati, she says, look, I need to tell you something. If you have not committed any sin, then of course you will be able to pull him out. If you have committed a sin in your life, then you will immediately get a paralytic stroke. Listening to this, that person moves away. Then another businessman was coming there. So he wanted to help. Hearing to what this lady said, he also said, no, sorry, and he goes away. Then a Purohit comes, a Brahmin Purohit. He also listens to this condition and he says, please excuse me, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, and he goes away. Then a rickshawala puller, he comes on the way and he also says, no. Now, from a distance, Parvati and Lord Shiva are conversing. You got to know now? Now you see the magic. You look at that lady who is coming at a distance, who is wearing a colorful sari. She is properly decked up. You know who she is? She is a Devadasi. Devadasi means a prostitute. Now, she will come and say that she will pull me out and see what happens. Now, in between 2-3 people come and everybody is going away. Now that Lord Shiva has told Parvati that this lady is coming and she is also a prostitute, she is very keen to understand what is the chamatkar which is going to happen here. As the lady comes, same thing, she says, I am ready to help. She extends her hand and she says, I have this strength, I can pull him out. Parvati wants him, Ma Parvati. She says, I don't mind. She extends the hand and pulls that old man out. Nothing happened to her. And she was extremely happy and she moves on. And Ma Parvati calls her and he says, I need to understand something from you. Oh, nothing happened to you. She says, listen. Shri Shailam Shikaram Drishtva Punarjanmana Vidyate. This is written on the wall. In front of the temple it is written. It is written in the shastras. I completely believed in this statement. When I have seen the holy tower of the temple, I know that now I have got moksha. That was my shraddha. I know I have got moksha. All my past sins are now washed off. Then only I get moksha. Moksha is becoming one with the Lord. So, having experienced that state of mind, I was coming and you told me this. So, then why should I be scared of any sin now? I have no sin in my account. Now, Parvati Devi understood. This is the power of Shraddha. We do so many things, but we are not equipped to the required dosage or the quantum. Half-baked, we say, no? Anything which is half-baked, at home you half-bake a roti or a chapati or anything you do half-baked, it is not going to taste good. And nobody will like it, whatever be your effort. So in life too, on the spiritual path, you cannot do half-baked. Complete Shraddha. Another story which I would like to mention is of Nisargadatta Maharaj. What was he? In the slums, he was a beedi merchant. He was rolling beedis and selling beedis. And he becomes a remarkable spiritual teacher. He attains enlightenment through his ardent pursuit of self-realization. How did this happen? Somebody asked him. In the Dharavi slums, they asked him, how did you achieve this kind of a state? He says, 3 things. I went to my guru. Number 1, my guru told me, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi means I am nothing but an embodiment of that Parabrahma. Number 2, I believed in his words. Believed means Shraddha. I did not question anything. I just had complete faith. As that Devadasi had faith in the statement, Shri Shailam Shikaram Drishtva Punarjanmana Vidyate. There is no more life and death again. So, in the same way here, Nisargadatta Maharaj, he believed if my guru has said this, because I know what my guru is. Now, I started. The third thing which he said, after believing, I started practicing. What he said, I started practicing. He said, I know that I realized the essence of being as something beyond the limited ego or self. And that led me to a profound experience of self-realization and enlightenment. So first was belief, and second was staying in that belief. These are extremely important. So now Lord Krishna, he says, this is what you need to understand. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. You get this knowledge. Then next is tatparaha. Committed. That zeal what I'm talking, be committed, be dedicated. For what? Para means the highest goal in my, ultimate goal in my life. I'm not looking at anything secondary or cheap. I want the highest. So the tatparahas samyatendriya. Now comes that self-control, ethically, morally, a pure life, and you become a person of discipline and control. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, you'll never get anywhere unless you have first is some kind of that basic faith. And having the faith, then you move forward. And tatpara, no. After my retirement, I'll see. Or after my children, they go, they get married and then they go, then I'll have not much to work. Then I will see. It will never happen that way. After they are married, then they'll call you to take care of their post delivery, and before they deliver also you'll have to go. I heard one very interesting fact. So once in Chennai, when I was there, two people were talking, and there were two friends, and one friend's daughter-in-law was abroad, and now she was delivering there. So the wife had to go prior to delivery and then post delivery stay for some time and come back. So the friend is saying, "Arey, your wife is now in IAS." I was saying, IAS, and how come she can stay 6 months over there being an IAS? So then the other friend said, yeah, now she has become an IAS. I didn't understand what is the meaning of this IAS is talking about. He was saying IAS means Indian Aya service. Now the mothers and mother-in-laws, what they become? They become ayas. So they go to their daughter or their daughter-in-law, and then they have to do seva over there. So don't think that if my children get married, then I'm going to start, I'll have that faith and I'll have this zeal to do. No. You will again get calls. After one child, there will be another child. After this daughter or son, there will be another daughter and son. So this will continue. What is important is if you have the zeal in the midst of anything, you will be able to practice, because this knowledge is not something great. What is it saying? It is saying that as you are attached to your body, your mind, your senses, yes, there is nothing wrong. Because everything which I experience in this world is happening through my senses, through my mind, and through this body, so I rely on that body. Now the Shastra is saying, hey, you are that one lucky guy. I'm giving you this knowledge. Just go one step behind. As much as you need this body, mind, and senses, there is something known as consciousness behind this. That's all. Understand that consciousness is your true nature, not this body, mind, and senses, because that consciousness is everlasting. These body, mind, senses are only for a limited point of time. Who knows, next hour you are not there, next day you are not there, next month you are not there, next year you are not there. Who knows? That is what is the correction we need to make. And to be in this knowledge, you may be doing anything, any kind of a work, but one portion of our mind has to be with this knowledge, be connected. For that, you don't need to be sitting in a cave and meditating. No. Simple, isn't it? You understand for yourself. You don't need great explanation for this. So in this way, now, be it in any stage of your life, never say that after this happens, then only I will get on to the path of spirituality. No. It is like a slip between the cup and the lip. You may not be in the right frame of health, or you may not even be there alive. So tatparaha, have that zeal. I want it right now. From now onwards, I'm going to practice. And to do one of the sadhana is what? to chant the name of the Lord, to say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. What big knowledge do you want, and what kind of a place or situation you need? Anywhere, whatever you are doing, you can keep chanting Samite Indriyaha. But it also needs, like, as you know, you go to a teacher, like you take your books and you attend all the classes, but you have an indisciplined life, unethical life, a loose life, as they say, then all these three are a waste. So Lord Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, he says in his commentary, he says, enlightenment is guaranteed. These are his words. Absolutely, enlightenment is guaranteed for a person who has that Shraddha, who has that Tatpara, and who has that Samite Indriyaha. Now he clarifies, Lord Krishna clarifies one more point. Earlier it says, Tadviddi pranipatena pariprakshena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanis tattva darshinaha. He says, what are the three things that he had said earlier? Approaching the master. Sevaya, serve him. Whatever way you can, you serve him. And third is question him. Now he says, listen, you might be going to a master, but you're not sincere in your approach. You just want to go. You don't want to sit at home. You feel, it's nice. Instead of getting bored at home, let me go there. I get a good company, group of people to hang out and to talk and to show off. And there are some people, they know the answers, but still, they would like to ask questions. And then by asking a question, and good question, you're also showing off in a way where, see, I have so much knowledge. Many people are scared to ask questions because they don't know whether that question is relevant or not. So this way, in fact, while I was studying, there was one brahmachari, and he was quite close to me. So while he was having breakfast, many a times we used to discuss various topics, and whatever topic we had discussed, I was quite aware because it was a kind of knowledge I was getting from him, and I knew that he had clarity on this. In due course, when this topic came in the class, now he used to ask this question to Swamiji. I said, he knows the answer. Why is he asking the question? Not once, several times it happened. Then I asked him, why are you doing this? You know the answer, but why are you asking? He says, no, I feel good to ask questions. Although I know answers, I feel good to ask questions. And I can see that everybody looks at me when I'm asking that question. And then the Swamiji also gives a reply. And then again, I counter ask a question. So there's a kind of a dialogue going between me and Swamiji. So I feel good asking this question. That doesn't work. To go to hang out or just to pass time or just to ask questions, that will not lead to enlightenment. What is important here is, so he clarifies this earlier shloka where he has said, go to a master, do seva and ask questions. He says, no, just by doing that, you're not going to get knowledge. He says, Shraddha. I'm really up and I'm going to put in all my internal effort. I am going to have complete control of my mind and senses. Then he says, absolutely certain that you're going to get enlightenment. This is the exact words that the Lord guarantees here. Param Shantim Adhigacchati. What happens if a person has got these three qualities and is pursuing this knowledge? A person with that enlightenment experiences peace in his heart. bliss in his mind, complete state of bliss. Now, what are the immediate steps to be taken if you become enlightened? He says nothing. You don't have to do anything. You are enlightened means achirena, without any delay. The moment you are enlightened, achirena, without any delay, you will get that param shantim adhigacchati. You will experience that state of bliss. Now, the Lord clarifies one more aspect. If one does not have Shraddha, no faith in the Guru or in the shastras, in the teachings of the Upanishads, and if one is ignorant, if one is kind of skeptical, one is kind of, some, they just ignore. They say, no, don't talk about all this. And some they counter, they go even to say this is a waste of time, and more annoyingly they say this is all bullshit. Now what happens to such kind of people? That is answered in the next verse number 40. Let's understand that. We'll first read the verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Agnyascha Shraddhadanascha Samshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokosti na Paraha Nasukam Samshayatmanaha. Now, Lord Krishna, see, he has to answer. Agnya, one who is ignorant. One who is ignorant of what? Who has not known the something called as Atma, Paramatma. And Ashraddhadanaha, who is faithless. He doesn't have faith also. He does not know Agnya, and who does not have faith. And Samshaya Atma, what kind of a person is? He has a doubting mind. Such a person, Vinashyati, he perishes. Although the ignorant and the faithless, they get ruined, yet it is not to the extent that a man with a doubting mind does. So I'll quote another Bhagavatam statement of 3-4 categories. So as far as the one with a doubting mind, he is the most vicious of them all. How? Na ayam lokaha, meaning neither in this world, na paraha, in the outer world, next world, na sukham, there's no happiness, asti, no, it doesn't exist, samshayatmanaha, for one who has a doubting mind. So for doubt is possible even with regard to them. Therefore, one should not entertain doubt. So again and again you see, Lord Krishna says, ask questions, clarify that whatever doubt is there in your mind. So one Agnyascha is what? Aviveki. Viveki is one who has got sense in him. So this Agnyascha, such a kind of person who is an Aviveki. Ashraddha Dhanascha. No faith. Forget about faith in others. He does not have faith in himself. So the first point in spiritual study also, we need to draw an understanding that we need to have faith in ourselves. First. Very important. I'll tell you a story in this regard. There was one young woman known as Maya. She was in a poor family. Now, father got unwell. He lost his job. He was in a private job. He lost his job. Mother was a housewife. And this Maya had 4 younger siblings. Now she was pursuing her study, doing very well in her studies. Now at one stage, it was such that she had an option to go to higher studies. She had applied for a course, and in fact she was selected also for that educational course. She had to pay the entire fees of that entire year in advance, which was a few lakhs. They didn't have the money. And on the other hand, she was keen to do a job. Now that she had got enough of qualification, experience, she felt that let me do a job, get money to the family so that my siblings can also study and I can take care of my father's medical bills. So she was keen for a job. Now see a situation in her life. It so happens that she has got the admission into a college. She has to pay the fees. On the other hand, she has applied for a job. After the interview, she comes back and she is confident that I will get through this job, because she knows that once I get this job, then my whole family is at peace, and thereafter I can study. I can always take a break and study. So she was hell-bent on getting the job. Days turned into weeks, then slowly weeks into months. Now, because of her good marks, the university which had given us an approval, yes, you can come and join us, they were postponing her entrance because they wanted such a bright candidate in their university. Now, if she pays, first of all, she doesn't have money. If by somehow she manages to pay and she gets into the university, then she doesn't get the job. She's not able to work. So with that same extended faith, confidence and resilience, she was always radiating with that. And then she waits, and finally she gets a call she had applied at a branch. Now she gets an interview call from the headquarters of the company. So suddenly she was not able to understand what's happening. She goes to the headquarters, and in the interview she was talking with that same confidence and faith which she had the belief in herself. Although she is shaken from below, nothing is good at home. She doesn't know what her future is, but she says, I have faith in myself. I have faith in my Lord. With that faith, she was sitting in the interview, facing the seniors of the company. And finally, she gets a yes. Not only an yes for the job, they said you will be appointed at a much senior level what she was expecting. And they also told her that it's not only about you getting the job, but we are going to also support you in terms of your additional training, mentorship, and whatever university you are talking about going over there, you will be going at our cost. So they paid the fees for her to go to the university, study on company's cost, and then she had to come back and work. While she was studying, she was getting paid also. Imagine now. It is just because she had that faith in her, and that faith was it was radiating in her confidence and resilience which she was showing in the interview. Of course, she was knowledgeable, but many a times what happens, we are knowledgeable. We have all this stuff required, but when we are weak from within, we start shattering. We start talking all nonsense, rubbish. And what we say, no, I was disturbed within. So that self-confidence in us is extremely important. So Ashraddada. Ashraddha yanascha means you may have doubts. When somebody is saying what this person is saying, will it happen or not happen? So one has to move ahead. Do your sadhana. I have seen that people have achieved, and how did they achieve? I know that they did sadhana. They had that determination in their mind, and I also move forward. I may have a mountain of doubts. Samshayatma vinashyati. Yes, but na ayam lokaha na paraha. People who have these kind of doubts, if you don't clarify, you just move forward with the doubts, then for such people, neither this world nor the outer world, you'll get any results. They'll have no meaning to their lives. They're just living like an animal. Uddhared atmanam atmanam, atmanam avasadayet. You have to lift yourself by your own self. If you're feeling down, you're feeling low, immediately think of that Lord within and around you and say, oh Lord, this is the time where I need your help. Pull me out of this. Intensely chant his name. Intensely meditate on him and say, give me that power and courage to come out of this muck and become calm and peaceful and face the world. So now here, let's talk about samshaya is also one thing which those who are with samshaya, they will neither be happy in this world nor the outer worlds. So, what is samshaya? Let's say something is fallen on the road, it is dark and it looks like a snake. You get a doubt. Is it a rope or a snake? Then immediately you switch on your torch and you see that it is a rope. Now, where did this doubt come from? From your mind. It is not a doubt from your intellect. Such doubts which come from your mind are easy to clarify. But if there is a doubt in the buddhi, intellect, like more deeper questions, is God there? This is a doubt which is in the buddhi. Somebody is saying, yes, God is there. Shastras are saying, Upanishads are saying, the Gita is saying, and Prakriti in front of you also is very evident that there is something so magnificent in front of you, but he does not believe because he does not have faith. To clarify the doubt in an intellect, you need to go in stages, asking questions and slowly getting rid of them. He does not even take up this process logically. In Bhagavatam it is said, Bhautika Samshaya. Bhautika Samshaya means intellectual doubt. How does it come? From Ashraddha. How does a doubt in the mind comes? From Ajnana, from not knowing. So doubt from Ajnana is a mental doubt. Doubt from Ashraddha, not having belief, not willing to question, not willing to understand, is an intellectual doubt. So there is no remedy for intellectual doubt. This is normally, generally the case, it is permanent. So the Upanishads say, apramapya parataha pramanya swataha. What it says is, always in life, believe everything, and only when there is a breach of trust, act of distrust, then only you stop believing it. Otherwise, cultivate an habit of believing everything. But we do it just the other way. We live in the other way. Life becomes very difficult for us. We always disbelieve others. So this apramapya belief, what we call, even sometimes if your spouse is behaving very obediently, then you start getting a doubt. What is this person in for? Once our Swamiji was telling us that a woman came to her and with lot of grief and anguish, terribly disturbed, and she said, Swamiji, I'm completely disturbed. So what happened? My husband's friend, very close friend, for the last 30 years he is my husband's friend. Ever since I've got married, he is my husband's friend. And one day he came. It was about the time when my husband was to return from office, about 5:30 types, and he came home. He asked my husband there, meaning his friend, of course. I said, no, he's any moment he'll be expected. So I didn't turn him down. I said, please come in. And then I gave him some water. I asked him some tea. I asked him snacks, all that. Now the husband comes back home and then he starts questioning the wife. Since how long this is happening? Samshayatma vinashyati. If somebody gets a doubt in his mind, he is completely ruined. Not only he is ruined, he will ruin everybody else around. So one has to be very careful. If you start doubting, you will never be at peace. The Upanishad says, Shraddhaya yadeva vidya karoti shraddhaya. Meaning if Jnana and Shraddha are there, then Samshaya reduces. Doubt reduces. If one among the above two are not there, then the doubt increases. So normally people who have this Jnana and Shraddha, these are what is required by spiritual journey. So they have that abundantly. They believe, they trust, because that is the way of their life. Many things which they come across in life while they are studying the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, they go with that Shraddha. Constantly Shraddha becomes a part of their life. So one has to have that Shraddha in life and move on. This is extremely important. Otherwise what will happen? As the Lord says, you will neither be peaceful in this life or you will be peaceful after you die also. This is the state. Okay. Hare Krishna Arpanamastu. So now we take up the next verse 41 and 42 in the next class, which brings us to the end of the chapter, and then we'll have a detailed revision. Now we have gone with a microscopic view as far as the chapter is concerned. So thereafter what we'll do is we'll try to understand, like say 6-7 shlokas at one go, so that in about 4 or 5 sessions we'll be able to complete the entire chapter again. How much we study is not important. How much I have understood is important. Okay. Have one thing. I know that my body, my senses, my mind are helping me to live in this world, but these are all impermanent. There is some permanent factor behind all this, which is my true self. That's all. So far, I didn't know that consciousness is my true nature. I only know that this body, mind is my true nature. Now with this knowledge, many a times I didn't know this. We say, no, now I got to know. Thank God. So that's what is that knowledge about. Stay in that conscious state, not in this physical state, which is Nashvara. So one needs to slightly make a shift. That's all. As we make that shift, then magic will start happening in your life. What will happen? you will start experiencing bliss. That's what the whole world is trying to achieve in so many ways, but in all in the wrong direction. So here it is there. Catch hold of it and stay with it. Thank you. So now we'll take two divine names. Verse number 38. The divine names 346 and 47. Let's read the verse 38 first. Padmanabhoravindakshah Padmagarbha Sharirabhrit Mahardiruddho Vruddhatma Mahaksho Garudadvajah. 346. Padmanabha. One who has the lotus in his navel. This is not to be taken literally. Navel, Nabhi, is the psychic center where all unmanifest thoughts first spring forth into our recognition, that is known as Pashyanti. The seedless state of all thoughts is called in the Yoga Sutra as Para. It therefore means one in whose bosom lies in potential all the possibilities of the universe of expression. It can also mean one who manifests himself in the lotus of the heart of his devotee. That's what we all are praying for. So some translate it also as he who is seated in the crust of the lotus. Padmanabha. 347. Arvindakshaha. One who has eyes as beautiful as the lotus. The lotus opens at sunrise and closes in the night. The Lord opens his beauty and grace in the presence of the devotees, and the flood of his grace, as it were, dries up in the presence of the dark sensuality of the ignorant. Aravindakshaha, to such a divine Lord who has been kind, merciful, we offer our humble salutations and seek his grace, mercy, blessings. Now let's chant the Dhanvantari mantra 3 times. Without good health, nothing can be achieved in this life. Deho devalayam proktah. Om namo bhagavate mahasudarshanaaya vasudevaya dhanvantaraye amrutagalashahastaya sarvabhaya vinashaya sarvaroga nivaranaya त्रैलोक्यपतये त्रैलोक्यनिधये श्री महाविष्णु स्वरूप श्री धन्वंतरी स्वरूप श्री 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 औषध चक्र नारायणाय स्वाहा। ओम नमो भगवते महासुदर्शनाय वासुदेवाय धन्वंतरये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्वभयविनाशाय सर्वरोगनिवारणाय त्रैलोक्यपतये त्रैलोक्यनिधये श्री महाविष्णुस्वरूप श्री धन्वंतरी स्वरूप श्री 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 औषधचक्र नारायणाय स्वाहा। ओम नमो भगवते Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaaya Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrutakalashastaya Sarvabhaya Vinashaya Sarvaroga Nivaranaya Trailokyapataye Trailokyanidhaye Shri Mahavishnu Swarupa Shri Dhanvantari Swarupa Shri 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 Aushadha Chakra Narayanaya Swaha. Our humble salutations to Lord Dhanvantari. We beseech him to protect us from good health, with good health, and bless us to achieve all we want through this body and mind. Please come now, let's do the Siddhi Samadhi Yoga Dhyana. We start with pranayam in the proportion of 1:4:2. One proportion you inhale, and 4 times that time you hold, and 2 proportions you exhale. Please become comfortable, make yourself comfortable. Head, neck and spine in a straight line. Completely relax your forehead. Relax your face, your neck, your shoulders, your back. Focus on your breath. Now, let's start for a few minutes pranayam so that we are able to do our meditation more effectively. Breathe in. Remember, your breath is the vehicle on which the mind travels. The more steadier and calm your breath is, your mind too becomes calm and steady. Anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes of pranayam can take you to a deep state of meditation, because Your mind is well prepared. Now slowly become an observer of your mind. See what is happening in your mind. Some thoughts are springing up now and then. Just don't bother about those thoughts. Ignore them. The moment you ignore, the thought will slowly pass away. Keep intensely observing your mind, which is also known as metacognition. By this, you're indirectly practicing Sakshi Bhava. You would have noticed the number of thoughts that come in your mind. After having done the pranayam, there is a big reduction in the number of thoughts. You will slowly come to a stage where there are no thoughts. You are the consciousness. Observing the mind. In this body. You are that consciousness which is shining on this mind. and enlivening this body and senses. My true nature is that consciousness which is Nitya. This body, mind, senses is Anitya. My true nature is consciousness. Who is the Drashta? This body, mind, and senses are the Drishya, an object. My true nature is consciousness. Chit, which is observing this body, mind, and senses, which is Jada. I am that pure consciousness. I am. I am. I am. Being established in that real self, become aware of your illusory self, this body, mind. Become aware of where you are seated. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Rub your palm, place them on your eyes, feel the warmth in your eyes. Gently and lovingly open your eyes.
Connected to SANYASA.
Together, we offer today's Gita Jnana Yajna at the lotus feet of the Almighty and seek His grace, mercy, blessings. With that enormous faith, we practice whatever we have learnt with true devotion. Na ham karta, Hari karta, Hari Preranaya, Hari Prityartha. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Idam Namama. Om Tat Sat.